Y'all know I do not like to use the gavel, but we have so many people here tonight that think that it was needed. We are ready to get started as soon as Jane gets the system turned on. And thank everybody for being here. All right. Ms. Whittington is ready. Is everybody else ready? City Council? Okay. It's time to call our December City Council meeting to order, and we will start, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you could remain standing after that, Mr. Hicks is going to lead us in prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hicks?
Please bow your heads.
Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, seeking your guidance and your wisdom as we gather here tonight. Lord, we just thank you for allowing us to just see another day, to be here amongst one another. Lord, we just thank you for those that are represented here tonight. But we also want to express our deepest gratitude for the teachers that are and administration that is here tonight, but also the teachers within our community, that they just so selflessly dedicate their lives and just shaping the minds and the hearts of our children. Lord, we just pray for all of our local leaders, our state leaders, and our executive leaders, Lord, as they just shape the decisions that are made for our city, our state, and our country. Lord, as we approach the joyous season of Hanukkah and Christmas, we are reminded of the importance of unity, love, and compassion, and we ask that that love, unity, compassion be exuded within our community and in here tonight. Lord, we ask for your continued protection and guidance over our city, its leaders, and its residents. In your holy name we pray. And everybody say amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Cohen. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, next will be the approval of the minutes, and those include the minutes from the council meeting and executive session on November the 13th and the work session and executive session for November the 6th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Ms. Thatcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Anderson. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Great. Next, we'll move on to awards, presentations, and proclamations, and I'll hand this one over to Mr. Cohen.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So, annually in November and December, we recognize the local teachers of the year for the Linear and North Gwinnett clusters. Last month, we recognized the Linear clusters. Tonight, we're going to recognize our North Gwinnett teachers. Now, we're recognizing the cream of the crop. These are the best of the best in one of the best school districts in the nation. Schools are a vibrant part of the community. They're the reason why many of us moved here, the reason we chose to raise our families here. I'm lucky. When we talk about the North Gwinnett cluster, I'm a little bit partial. Both my kids went through the North Gwinnett cluster, and I noticed one of my kids is actually here, probably only the second time he's ever been in the chambers during a meeting. But, you know, they both went off to college, got great educations in the North Gwinnett cluster, and I'm really proud of everything that's happened. I've been an active member of the North Gwinnett cluster community for probably going on 23, 24 years when I started advising for the DECA program at North Gwinnett High School way back when. Can't tell you how many principals I've gone through and how many school councils I've sat on. I think I've got a perpetual seat on Sherry's over there at the middle school. I've sat with Ben, I've sat with Mary, I've sat with Nathan and a number of people. So I'm really excited to recognize these teachers. So, you know, our involvement in the community and in the schools runs very deep on this council. Every one of us has kids who either have gone through or we have an active role on pretty much a day-to-day basis with the schools. And for everybody in the audience, I mean, there's not everything we can all agree on, but I think the fact that we've got great schools is something that everybody in this room can agree on. And when the schools benefit and are successful, we all benefit. So tonight I'm going to read proclamations from the mayor and the council and the residents for the 6 schools of the North Gwinnett cluster: Level Creek Elementary, Riverside, Swanee, and Roberts Elementary Schools, North Gwinnett Middle School, and North Gwinnett High School. I know that all of them are going to be here. I think 4 of them are here, possibly 5. There's a big concert going on in the Eagle as well as this and the ice skating rink, so it may take people a little bit of time to get in here. Now, we've spent a lot of time over the years interacting with the schools, and a lot of them participate in the city's educational activities. I mean, you've got members of the Youth Council here, and a number of them are representative of North Gwinnett High School, so we're really proud. Now, these 6 talented teachers were all named Local Teachers of the Year, and one of them was named a top 25 candidate. So again, we're very proud of that. I mean, to be named one of the 100, I don't know, what is it, 160 something schools now, 150 something schools? Ben, do you know? Only 135, okay. Out of 134, to be named one of the top 25 is an amazing honor. And I'm exceptionally proud of that particular teacher because I've known her for so long and she's one of my neighbors. So we're honored to have them all part of the Sugar Hill community, and we're going to recognize them today. So what I'm going to do is read a general proclamation and then take a few minutes to talk about each teacher when I come down off the dais, and then we'll have people come up for pictures, and the teachers can come up and individually take pictures with the mayor and council as well as their awards. So feel free to take pictures. Talk to the winners. I know Victoria's in the back and she'll be taking pictures. Teachers, if you have family with you, feel free to let them all come up too. The more the merrier. All right? So let's get on with our proclamations. So the proclamation for Teacher of the Year 2025, and yes, Gwinnett County Public Schools calls it Teacher of the Year 2025. It's not a typo. Whereas these teachers have been teaching their respective grade curriculums to Sugar Hill students at their schools in Gwinnett County for many years and have extensive teaching experience, and whereas these teachers are respected by both the school community and their peers alike, they've been recognized by Gwinnett County Public Schools as their school's Teacher of the Year for 2025. And whereas these teachers have spent endless hours in and out of the classroom teaching students and empowering them to think freely, they've also helped their students develop skills such as questioning, provoking, and challenging all things presented to them. And whereas they have engaged their students by producing innovative lessons that have real-life applications and have promoted learning to their students as a lifelong endeavor. And whereas the Gwinnett County Teacher of the Year program honors teachers who excel at representing the quality of professional educators in every Gwinnett County public school and exemplify the GCPS mission to pursue excellence in academic knowledge, skills, and behavior for each student. The expertise and reputation these teachers bring every day, especially in these challenging and uncertain times, reflects the expectations of Gwinnett County and helps promote an educated and vibrant local community. And now, therefore, the City of Sugar Hill Mayor and City Council do hereby acknowledge each of these teachers as their school's Teacher of the Year for 2025 and encourage all of its residents to congratulate them on their accomplishments as one of Gwinnett County's finest educators. So proclaimed this 11th day of December, 2023. So congratulations to all of you, and I'm going to come down and read a little bit about what's going on. So have you guys come with me? So our first teacher is going to be Level Creek. is Jessica Richter. Jessica teaches third grade language arts, math, science, and social studies. Got 7 years teaching at Level Creek Elementary and 16 years teaching total. She's here with her principal, Daniel Skelton. Dan. Congratulations. All right, our next Teacher of the Year is from Riverside Elementary, and I've got really strong ties to Riverside since I probably spent more time there than Kenya Hester, with the principal, Ben Pope. Now, McKenna teaches fourth grade language arts and social studies, 8 years teaching at Riverside Elementary, and 20 years of total teaching. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Let's see. I don't know. I didn't. Oh, there he is. Okay. So we've got Roberts Elementary up next, and that's Lisa Reynolds. Come on up, Lisa. With her principal, Dr. Dion Jones. And Lisa teaches second grade all subjects. She's a jack of all trades. 14 years teaching experience at Roberts Elementary and 28 years. Congratulations. I know you've got family here.
It's like, no, that's okay.
We're the Marshalls. Congratulations. All right, let's see. Swanee Elementary. Okay, so I've got an AP from Swanee today. All right. So Swanee Elementary, we've got Julie Gaines, and Julie teaches first grade all subjects, another jack of all trade. 7 years teaching at Swanee Elementary and 10 years total teaching experience, and she's accompanied by one of our great assistant principals. All right. Now, as we're moving down the list here, we've got North Gwinnett Middle School next. North Gwinnett Middle School, Scott Kim, accompanied by his principal, Sherry Gilbert. Scott teaches 8th grade math, which is probably over the head of a lot of us here. 7 years teaching at North Gwinnett Middle School and 18 years total teaching. Congratulations. Anybody you want to be up in pictures?
Me today.
Just you today?
Yeah.
All right.
Congratulations.
All right. And our next candidate here is from North Gwinnett High School, probably somebody who needs no introduction to this community, Lindsay Davis. And she's accompanied by her principal, Nathan Ballantyne. Now, Lindsay was one of the semifinalists. She was top 25 semifinalist. So, extra congratulations there. Lindsay teaches 10th and 12th grade, AP seminar and internship. Also, Charge North. Charge North program, which, if anybody got the, looks at a lot of the things in the city, Charge North gets involved and does all kinds of really cool stuff. She's got 18 years teaching at North Gwinnett. 18 years total teaching experience. And we're really proud of Lindsay, very active in the Hill Historic Preservation Society. And for those of you who don't know, her mom, Dawn P.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
Was, well, believe me, I'm going to be crying later today. Was an integral part of the community. Actually, the community plaza right behind us is named Dawn. And she's my neighbor. Jody, the kids.
Oh, we'll do it outside.
You do out there?
Yeah.
You walk up here?
Okay, fine.
Come on, Jody. The whole family can come up.
He's in. No, this is the night. That Kaylee won't.
Thank you, everybody, again, for joining me. If you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, please feel free. Good to see you.
We'll give everybody a moment to clear out, and then Mr. Cohen, thanks for doing that, and thanks for doing that for all of these many years. And we will continue doing this every year.
I hope so.
All right. We have one more proclamation. We have some special guests here tonight. Representatives Matt Reeves and Greg Kennard. I'm going to call y'all up. We appreciate y'all being here, and thanks for the great work you do down at the state capitol. And the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Henry and the City Council of Sugar Hill. It's our pleasure to be here. We wanted to recognize the outgoing members last meeting. Persons of Mark Cohen and Jen Thatcher and Mason Roselle. In particular, Councilman Cohen was on the council when I first became a representative. Had a sliver of Sugar Hill time in that district. They were always very welcoming, and Mark and I struck up a relationship. So this resolution specifically is for Councilman Cohen, co-signed by several of my colleagues, including Representative Reeves of the 99th, Sam Park of the 107th, Sue Pong of the 103rd, and Rua Roman of the 97th. But it reads as follows. The resolution recognizing and commending Mark Cohen on his outstanding public service and for other purposes. Whereas Mark Cohen has long been recognized by the citizens of this state for the vital role played in municipal governance, as well as his deep commitment to the welfare of his fellow citizens, and whereas he has diligently and conscientiously devoted innumerable hours of his time, talent, and energy towards the betterment of his community and state, as demonstrated by his years of superlative service as Mayor Pro Tem for the city of Sugar Hill, Georgia, and whereas he has further served as chair of the Sugar Hill Arts Commission since 2014 and actively participated in various civic and professional organizations at the local and state levels, and whereas Mark Cohen's significant organizational and leadership talents, remarkable patience and diplomacy, keen sense of vision, sensitivity to the needs of the citizens of this state have earned him the respect and admiration of his colleagues and associates, and whereas he is an honest and dedicated public servant who strives for excellence in all of his endeavors with a primary concern for the efficient functioning of local government, and whereas through his vital role in the development of the Sugar Hill downtown area, the Eagle Theater, the Bowl at Sugar Hill, and multiple parks, he has demonstrated a sincere commitment to community development during his distinguished tenure, whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding accomplishments of this remarkable and distinguished Georgian be appropriately recognized. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the members of this body recognize and commend Mark Cohen for his efficient, effective, unselfish, and dedicated public service, to the state of Georgia and extend the most sincere best wishes for continued health and happiness.
My son and my wife here. Let's have them come up. And my wife hates having pictures. If she comes up and does this to me. For indulgence, I can have fellow council members. Staff, come on down.
And while the mayor and council are going back up there, Representative Kenner and I wanted to say that definitely we recognize there are 3 outgoing members, 3 incoming members. Mark had some longevity, so we got that certificate for him. But we do congratulate Ms. Avery, Mr. Perkle, Mr. Page on election. They've got my numbers, as do the rest of the elected officials. We're proud to serve, and we salute the people of Sugar Hill for people you've chosen in the past, people you've chosen recently, and your state representatives from different parts of the county and different sides of the aisle fully support Sugar Hill. Y'all are doing great things, and we're here behind you. We're at your service. So congratulations to the outgoing and incoming council members. Thank you so much.
Thank you, representatives. Appreciate y'all.
And incoming council member Avery's already put me to work for military veterans. If y'all have anything for state government, let me know. I'm here.
Gentlemen, thank y'all again. All right, next we're going to move on to reports, and I'll start with the city attorney, Mr. Hartley.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report.
Oh, I thought just maybe he might have a report tonight. All right, next we're going to move on to city council reports, and I'm going to start on my right-hand side here with Mr. Hicks.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to briefly express my tenure of sitting on council a little over a year and a half has been probably the best experience for someone that's newly elected into local government. and having the opportunity to serve alongside three amazing elected officials, but most importantly, friends, has probably been something that I will always remember. But again, I am truly grateful for the three of you. You guys have done amazing things for this community, and you're going to continue to keep doing amazing things for this community. So I thank you for your service for the city of Sugar Hill. Thank you for your friendship, and I'm truly honored to be and say that you guys are my friends. That's all I have, Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Excuse me. Mr. Anderson, my voice got really deep there all of a sudden. It's the cold that I've had, I think. Mr. Anderson, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to wish a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year to everyone in the community. Also, like Councilmember Hicks, want to express my appreciation for our three outgoing members. They have been excellent to work with. It's been 2 short years with Mason and Jen, but I have learned so much from you all. You all have brought good challenge to me, and I have so much enjoyed getting to know you better personally and professionally, and we'll miss you all tremendously. Mark, I've known for, man, it's been probably 20 years now, and for better or for worse, you're the one that roped me into this, and almost 12 years ago now, and I'm going to miss you up here. I certainly won't miss you because I will see you around the community as I always do in our neighborhood. So I appreciate you. Appreciate the work you have put in over these 20 years that you've given to the city, and it's been a good long ride, and I appreciate it very much so. And the Riverlands Authority did not meet this month, so I have no Riverlands Authority report to share with you all. So with that, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. We'll celebrate that tomorrow with Councilmember Cohen down at the Landing. He'll probably mention that, but we are lighting the menorah tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the Landing, and of course the entire community is welcome to be there. And regardless of your faith, we can certainly celebrate with those of faith when the time is appropriate. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Next, I'll hand it over to Mr. Cohen. Ms. Thatcher.
And let Mr. Cohen go last. Thank you. First of all, just as a general, great job. Cam and your staff did a fantastic job last weekend with the holiday celebration and the quick pivot to moving everything inside because of the weather. I was a little worried that that was not going to work out, but it ended up being just a fantastic event, very intimate, still enough room for everybody to move around. And by the time that I saw Cam at the event, he was much more calm than he was when I saw him that morning at basketball, and he was a little freaked out about everything. So staff, you just did a tremendous job. I heard such great compliments from everybody about that. As mentioned, it is our last meeting, and I'm grateful for the time and the friendship that, especially you. I promised I wasn't going to get upset. It is very emotional. We spend so much time together that you kind of become an extension of our family. So I did prepare a few words, as I am wont to do. So I will read those, and then I'll defer to Mr. Cohen. I have been a collector of quotes for my entire life. Those who know me well will not be surprised to find out that my collection is in a database where I can query it by author, topic, occasion, or any other number of attributes, because I am a data geek like that. Since November, and especially since last Tuesday, I have been searching for the right quote to sum up my time here on council. Instead, I have found many that both convey my thoughts about my service here and provide some wise context for the incoming council and what I hope is next for our sweet city. At a speech in Frankfurt, Germany in 1963, John F. Kennedy said, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future." I rest well at night knowing that this council and the visionary ones that came before it have looked to the future and blazed a trail that, if followed, will ensure the long-term success of Sugar Hill. That said, no plan emerges unscathed from its collision with reality. Plans, like maps, are written on paper and are meant to be a guide. Sometimes we meet our obstacles, we receive new data, and we must alter our course. In doing so, we should consider the words of Robert Kennedy when he said, "Remember that 20% of the people are against everything all the time." I challenge the incoming council to focus on the 80% instead of the cacophonous voices of the never-happy minority. I hope this new council will, in the words of my favorite president, Ronald Reagan, surround yourself with the best people you can find, delegate authority, don't interfere as long as the policy you've decided upon is being carried out. Remember, as Einstein said, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Be prepared to be unpopular with some. After all progress has resulted from people who took unpopular positions. I hope you let tradition be your guide, but not your jailer. I hope you listen more than you speak. I hope that when you do listen, you listen to hear and not to respond. Because the greatest obstacle to discovery is not ignorance, it's the illusion of knowledge. I hope you look for and avoid echo chambers, because you can't expect anything original from an echo. I hope you seek out, embrace, and equip the vision carriers. Every organization needs torchbearers. These are the people who discover new ideas, systems, or innovations and champion the change to have them implemented. Indira Gandhi said there are two kinds of people, those that do the work and those that take credit for the work. To be the first group, that's where you should be. There's less competition there. I hope you continue the time-consuming but soul-fulfilling work of community engagement, fostering the partnerships that we've built with our schools and businesses and churches, because these are the things that make a growing community continue to feel like a small, connected town. The foundations of character are built not by lecture, but by bricks of good example laid day by day. I hope you use the assets that we have to continue to teach our students and our residents about our history, the importance of conservation and preservation, the importance of creating a plan and working it to its fruition. After all, nobody ever drowned in sweat. I hope you continue to serve with humility and remember that conceit is the quicksand of success. I hope you are always challenged to do more, be better, blaze new paths forward, because the greatest enemy of your creative powers is smug complacency, being satisfied with less than what you're capable of doing. In the words of the legendary golfer Jack Nicklaus, achievement is largely the product of steadily raising one's levels of aspiration and expectation. There was much more that I wanted to say, to call out the naysayers and to take well-deserved shots at those people who took shots at me and my colleagues, but that's not who I am. That's who they are. And in the words of two remarkable women, trailblazers in their own right, Mary Kay Ash and Jackie Joyner Kersey, it is far better to be exhausted from success than rested from failure. It is better to look ahead and prepare than to look back and regret. I have no regrets. I am prepared for what is next. As I close this season here, this chapter in my book, I am reminded of John Quincy Adams when he said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, you are a leader." I hope I have done that during my time serving this council, this staff, and this city. Victory if possible, but integrity at all cost. Thank you for the opportunity. It has been my honor, my privilege, and my joy.
Thank you, Ms. Thatcher. Mr. Cohen.
Wow, I don't know that I'm going to be as eloquent, as entertaining, or as non-emotional as that. This is tough for me. Just please bear with me. Today's an emotional and bittersweet day for me. My last official meeting for now as an appointed or elected representative of our city and our residents. I didn't plan for a political journey. However, it worked out that way. And for 22 years, I've worked shoulder to shoulder with our rock star staff, community groups, schools, HOAs, residents, visitors, public safety organizations, businesses, the arts community, and so many more. Unlike campaigning and the associated promises, which are a solo activity, governing and building a city is a group effort and a team activity. There's a lot of input, education, and compromise. The result is doing what is right for the community. There's a difference between the wants of the voters and the needs of the community. And that's a distinction that should never be forgotten, and I hope that the mayor and council continue on the right path, whatever it may be. I've collaborated with 3 mayors, 14 city council members, 2 city managers, 2 city clerks, 5 planning directors, longtime staff, and again, so many more talented individuals who helped us do amazing things. Together as a group, we've built something from nothing. For years, we talked about building a downtown from scratch and building commercial nodes, housing, recreational activities and amenities, community, and a place where people could live, work, play, raise a family, or build a business. I'm still in awe of all we've accomplished in such a short time. 20 years isn't a short time, but going way back then, I mean, the things that we planned and things we discussed, for better or worse, I mean, I'm just amazed. When my wife and I moved to Sugar Hill almost 24 years ago, we were looking for the best school district for the family we were planning, because at the time we didn't have kids. And we were willing to settle with the fact that we couldn't really spend our hard-earned money in a new city or do much beyond living in a nice place with good schools. Both of our jobs had us commuting long distances. We went out of the city 5 days a week. And when we wanted to relax, we usually went downtown to Atlanta to the Fox to see a play. We went to see a concert, or we had to grab dinner basically somewhere out of the city. There were very limited choices back then. At the time, there was really nothing to do. Even Swanee Town Center was just still a vision. The Mall of Georgia wasn't yet built yet. When I asked our real estate agent where we could go, she sent us to Lakeland Plaza up and coming, where we became regulars at a restaurant up there. And it's hard to believe that the public shopping center wasn't even considered in our city limits back then. Fast forward 10 years ago, and we saw dramatic growth. What used to be a pure bedroom community quickly became one of the most sought-after suburbs to live in. Our downtown used to be an old city hall, a school, a cemetery, and a series of rundown buildings and homes. Today, due to extraordinary efforts, we have a new city hall, a business incubator, restaurants, shops, open and green space, a veterans memorial, a community center with a gym, a splash pad, an art gallery, a history museum, downtown living all around us, assisted living, 5+ miles of beautiful greenway to walk or ride a bike, 3 new parks, the Southeast's biggest fireworks display, if you go out to E. Robinson for Sparks in the Park, a seasonal ice skating rink that when it's open, you can't even get in there. There's so many people. A lot of undeveloped land for recreational purposes and so much more. And we've become the kind of place that people want to come, stay, enjoy, and spend their money. Now, it's easy to throw rocks at things that shine. Yes, I'm a Swiftie. However, no matter what some say, I'll always be proud of everything that we've done. I'm proud of the world-class venues like the Bowl at Sugar Hill for top-notch entertainment, which is really a far cry from a collapsing platform at a park filled with fire ants way back when. I'm proud of the Eagle Theater for hosting great plays, concerts, movies, and the arts. I'm proud knowing that these were ideas that I helped bring to the table, and along with my colleagues, both some in the audience and up here on the dais, turned into reality. And we couldn't have done it without the city staff. For over 20 years, I've had the input in the development of our city, and every time we come downtown, whether for an event, dinner, drinks, visiting friends, or when we go to recreational activities and just take a walk, meet up with neighbors, watch Sparks in the Park, watch a game at one of the fields, or spend time at the American Legion, shop at local stores, eat in local restaurants, hang with friends, I really do beam with pride. When I first ran for office, my platform was walkability, public safety, recreation, and economic development. I just wanted to safely walk my then 3-year-old son to get an ice cream. He'll be 22 tomorrow. Well, it took some time, but eventually all of these things came to being. And it wasn't just this council, it was the councils and the mayors that came before us as well. Now, I've had the opportunity to wear many hats and be involved with so many great organizations, meeting some of the smartest people along the way. It's not always been an easy road. However, we made good decisions. My grandfather always said, continually learn every day. They can never take that away from you. My time serving on the board of the Georgia Municipal Association, the Municipal Training Board, and taking continuing education classes helped me understand the need for constantly learning and keeping your skills on point. Talking to your counterparts from around the state taught me so much. They all actually face the same issues that we do, just at different scale, and they can offer insight that you may have never found or never have thought of if you didn't spend time with them. I had the opportunity to be the chair of our 75th anniversary committee when the city turned 75. And part of that celebration brought me new friends. I mean, the Gressleys are back there, and I didn't know them until this started. Through that exercise, not only did we have the 75th anniversary, but out of that came the Arts Commission, what became the Sugar Hill Historic Preservation Society, the Youth Council. Going back thinking, and Gary, you'll remember this, we had a simple idea. We were going to paint a green line throughout the city, and that was going to be it was the Freedom Trail of Sugar Hill, I think it was back then. And that really allowed people to let them know they were in Sugar Hill and help guide them from point A to point B. And that connectivity ultimately became the Sugar Hill Greenway. You know, it morphed a lot from our original discussions, but that really is the basis. We had a desire for community policing, not police, but community policing, because community policing was really important. And from that, we've built strong relationships with Gwinnett County PD. I see Major Raffinelli back there. And that turned into our Marshal Service, and I see Chief King and Ed and a few other of the marshals around here. I was involved in the planning for the Shiv Mandir, only because my boss at the time in my real day job was an active contributor and a member of the Shiv. So I watched that go from a vacant, rundown piece of property into the Shiv Mandir. And we built strong partnerships with the Sugar Hill Church and the other church and religious groups in the area. Together, these contribute to the sense of community and well-being which permeates throughout the city and its residents. Just this weekend, we watched people at the packed skating rink, shopping in the holiday market across the way at the East Center, enjoying our restaurants, including the new one across the street, grabbing a drink at the rooftop, listening to music of the Broad Street Band, seeing dancers, drinking hot chocolate, and seeing our own Sugar Hill Santa. Tomorrow, for the first time in Sugar Hill history, we'll be hosting a Hanukkah menorah lighting at the Landing. So we've certainly come a long way. Change is inevitable, and as I leave office, I know that we leave our mark. It's been a pleasure and an honor serving the residents, neighbors, and friends. Building community has been a work of passion, and I'm so thankful for the opportunities, the successes, the learning, the staff, and most of all, the friends I've made who became family. To those coming in, Meg, Josh, Gary, please care for the city the way we have. Show it love, compassion, civility. Work together with the folks up here to find compromise and solutions, and continue to be involved every day. I mean, that's really all I can ask. To Brandon, Taylor, Alvin, Paul, Jane, Frank, Kaipo, Troy, Diane, Andy, I saw Curtis, and the city staff, Tim, anyone else I forgot, thank you for everything. It's been fun and rewarding experience working with all of you. To Mason and Jen, you'll go on to bigger and better things. Don't let this little hiccup get you down. There's a lot to do in this community, lots of ways you can be involved, lots of ways you can volunteer. I know it's going to work out for the best for both of you. I'm really proud of the friendships that we've all developed, and that really means a lot. We just don't work up here together. We're actually friends. We socially interact, our husbands, our wives, our kids. We go to dinner, we hang out with each other. That's really important. And I didn't realize they were going to be here, but thank you to my wife and kids. My son Seth is here. My daughter's still at college, won't be back till Tuesday. They grew up with me serving. I mean, Seth was 2 when I got elected, and now he's 22. I noticed Carl Siegley's here. Carl was Seth's scoutmaster when he was working towards his Eagle, so that's really important. My kids, my family, I mean, they spent many an hour. I mean, we'd go to the grocery store, and it was not a simple, let's go to the grocery store. And Meg knows that because I think we were at the holiday festival, and people kept stopping her. You go into the grocery store, somebody's going to ask you a question. They're going to want to know something. Why did this happen? What's going on here? Please let us know. So I think there were times when my family actually left me. And back then, there were no sidewalks to get from Publix back home, so I probably just hitchhiked. There was no Uber back then. That shows you how old I am. But, you know, I'm thankful to my wife and my kids. They've been my sounding board and my grounding. And sometimes they don't agree with the decisions I make. And that makes really contentious discussions at dinner. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time for me to get used to the changes. However, I'll find something new and exciting to occupy my time, my energy, my passion. I'm still going to be involved in the arts, still be involved in the community. What I won't do, I'm sorry to say, is I won't be coming to city council meetings every Monday and work sessions every other Monday. I'm going to try to take some time and relax and work with my family and just spend time with them. So with that, thank you very much for letting me do my long-winded thing here. But from my family to yours, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. And good luck to all of you, and all the best in the next chapter for our sweet city. Thank you very much for everything. Everybody in this room, we don't agree all the time, but you know what? If we talk it out and we work it through, we're going to come up with a good decision. It may not be this decision everybody loves, but you know what? Compromise is the art of everybody. Now we can get on with our actual meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. And I will go next, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to say a whole lot because I won't be able to make it through. So. Everybody that knows me knows that I have a tendency to get emotional during times like this. And so I just want to say to council members Thatcher, Cohen, and Roswell, I can't think of a better team of people to serve with. The last couple years, it's been great. Y'all have been fantastic. Many people don't know this, but Jen and I started out kind of being on opposite ends of the spectrum when she first came on city council, but we got through it and we became very best friends. I consider her among my very, very best friends. Love her. And I just want to say that a person of good character supports and defends their friends and their teammates, and I will always do that for these three. And I thank you. I love you. Thank you for your service. I look forward to seeing y'all being involved in the community in the future. Next, we're going to move on to our city clerk for her report.
I have no report this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. We'll now go to the city manager, Mr. Radford, for his report.
Mayor, I will ask folks just to take a look at this, and I think our staff does a fabulous job of summarizing what's going on in the city. But if you'd allow me, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege just to thank Mason, Jen, and Mark for their years of service on City Council. It's a thankless job. And to your point, we have become very close friends. And trust me, they don't always agree with my recommendations. And that's what good dialogue is all about. I've known Mark since he was a freshman in city government in my previous job. He sat through many of the classes I taught, whether it was taxation or economic development, and the list goes on and on and on. But being an elected official for 20 years and continuing to do it with integrity and passion is not an easy task. I welcome the 3 new members of City Council. Gary was the mayor when I was hired here 10 years ago. I didn't know Meg before, but I congratulate her on her election, as well as Joshua. I look forward to working with each of them. But you know what? A room is always as big or as small as the personalities that are in there. And I think we all have room to come into the same room and look and put the city first. This is a fantastic city, a city that is well respected around the state, and that is because of the leadership of all the elected officials that are here and the ones that were here before us and before you. And I look forward to serving with them, but I'm going to be missing all three of you, Mason, Jen, and Mark. You know you have my number. You can call me anytime, not just about city business, but you can call me about personal business as well. I wish you the very, very best. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Radford. And the last report will be from our youth council, and we do have some youth council members here. Please come up. Miss Christie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, thank you. Please proceed.
So for the Youth Council update, we just got done with our holiday celebration on Saturday, which went very well. It was lots of fun. There were so many kids, and they were so excited to hang out with us. We were all dressed like reindeer and elves, and I think they really enjoyed that. So for our holiday celebration, we do letters to Santa every year, and right now we're working on sending those letters up to the North Pole and getting Santa to write back and mail them back to the kids. We also did ornaments, the 2023 annual city ornament. We had kids be able to decorate those and put those on their tree, as well as their ornaments that they're free to pick up here at the city, which is really cool. We also did our elf fortune teller, which is another one that I think kids look forward to. We made a new booth, which was quite the undertaking. Thank you, Alvin, for that. It was quite large, but it was really fun to decorate, and now we have a new prop for upcoming years. Right now, we are working as an organization on how to best utilize our committee time. Our committees include the volunteer committee, the community outreach committee, and the events committee. And we're actually working towards a bigger project that we will be working on every single week and will be revealed and finished near the end of the year. So there will be more information to come during the following council reports. We're also working on educating our newer members on local government terms, things like RZ-. I know it can seem like another language if you don't know what you're talking about. So we're working on that with our newer members. And to close off, I'd like to say thank you to Councilmember Mason Rosel, Mark Cohen, and to Jen Thatcher for working alongside us. It has been incredible to work with all of you guys. And on behalf of the Youth Council, thank you. We'll miss you a lot. And to Mark Cohen, your council brought Youth Council to fruition. Without you, we might not exist. So an extended thank you from myself and my other Youth Council members. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Ms. Christie is a senior, and I think there are some other seniors, but I do know that she was recently accepted to attend Georgia Tech, and so congratulations to her and perhaps some of the others that may have made a decision on their college as well. And these young ladies and men, they become like members of our family as well, so thank you again. All right, we will now move on to citizens and guest comments, and this is an opportunity for citizens and guests to come up and speak about anything related to Sugar Hill. Each person has up to 3 minutes, and I will go ahead and recognize anybody that would like to do so. Yes, sir.
Hey, Gary Perkle, 5440 Silcoke Way. Quick comment on the comprehensive plan. By and large, I thought the staff did a nice job on that. There were a couple of things that I mentioned in the last meeting that was there in regard to, there was mentioned kind of in small print, but several times in there about townhomes being acceptable in the business zoning. I'm not really in favor of that. And then there's a lot of spending in the work program at the end. I'm not quite willing to commit to yet. I'd like to have some discussions on that and see where we go with those. So those were the two concerns I had. Other than that, I thought they did a nice job with that.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Is there anybody else that would like to make a public comment? Yes.
Meg Avery, 4575 Forest Green Drive. I was looking at the agenda late Friday afternoon and today, and under item 3 is our public hearing for the general fund and the capital improvement budget. And then I checked online real quick, and it does still say online that the budget will be presented as an ordinance tonight. And I had done some reading this weekend about that and realized that this is the first time that the City of Sugar Hill budget will be presented or proposed as an ordinance. And I wondered why the change after many, many years. And I looked up the Georgia Municipal Code as well, which states that local governments are required to adopt a balanced operating budget, either by ordinance or by resolution, which is what Sugar Hill has done in the past. And when I attended the work session last Monday, and the first public hearing was held for the budget, there was no mention that the budget was being proposed as an ordinance. So I was a little surprised to see that on Friday afternoon. And I did notice that the city charter outlines the requirements for the preparation of the budget, but it does not state that the budget must be presented as an ordinance. And audience members, you might wonder, so what's the big deal? What's the difference between an ordinance and a resolution? And I looked that up. An ordinance is a legislative act and prescribes some permanent rule of conduct or government to continue in force until the ordinance is amended or repealed. A resolution is an expression of opinion or mind or policy concerning some particular item of business coming before the city council. So it appeared to me that a budget fits the description of a resolution and not an ordinance, and I was very curious about that. And I did notice online under item 3, it's a little bit more detailed on the City of Sugar Hill website, where it does say that the budget will be presented as an ordinance, although it doesn't say that on tonight's agenda. But I would like to respectfully ask that the city follow what they've done in the past and present it as a resolution, or perhaps even table it until January when there are 3 new members on the council. The city charter does allow for not adopting the budget by January 1st. And although past budgets have been approved in December, also past budgets were approved as a resolution, not an ordinance. So thank you very much, and I hope you'll take that into consideration. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. And it is a good idea to read the charter. I think that's certainly what we operate by as a city council, so thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to make a public comment? Yes.
Good evening, James January, 1282 Drive, Sugar Hill. First of all, I do want to say thank you for all of you who have served on the council, who will be leaving. The city does have many great things that you folks can lay claim to with what you've done and with what previous councils and mayors have done. We do have a nice city. It has a lot of good things. You all know I have some I guess, aversion, if you will, to high-density development, and I don't care for that at all. But also, I think it's important to note, Josh, Meg, and Gary are going to be coming in. I hope and I'm confident that they're going to come in with open minds, questioning minds, certainly. But I also hope that those of you who will remain on the council and be working with them will welcome them in and give them the respect and the opportunity to see that they're very fine people, and I think they'll also create a very fine council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. January. Is there anybody else that'd like to make public comment? All right, if not, we will close citizens and guest comments, and we will move on the agenda. We have no consent agenda, we have no old business, but we do have a couple of appointments to make, and I'm going to get through those 2 appointments, and then I'll actually call those individuals up front to be sworn in. First up is appointment to the Downtown Development Authority. Is there a nomination from anybody?
Mayor, I'll make the nomination for Mason Rosel.
All right, I have a nomination to appoint Mason Rosel to the Downtown Development Authority. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Congratulations. Next, we'll move on to the Mayor Pro Tem appointment. Is there a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir. I make a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Alvin Hicks.
All right, we have a nomination for Mr. Hicks. Is there a second? All right, we have a second from Mr. Hicks. All those, I'm sorry, Ms. Thatcher, for Mr. Hicks. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, congratulations. All right, so I'm going to call Mr. Rosal and Mr. Hicks up front to be sworn in. Start with Mr. Rosal first. I'm going to have to look at that, my friend. We could look at this. Normally I would have two. We don't have two. I'm going to try to see this. I, please state your name.
Rosal.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
That, please do raise your right hand. See how quickly they forget. That I will support the Constitution.
That I will support the Constitution
of the United States.
States.
The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
Georgia.
And the Charter and ordinances of the City of Sugar Hill.
Ordinances of the city.
And that I will, to the best of my ability,
To the best of my ability.
faithfully perform the duties as a member of the Downtown Development Authority of the City of Sugar Hill during my continuance therein. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Same, please. Please raise your right hand. I, Alvin, state your name.
Alvin,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Georgia, the Charter and ordinances of the City of Sugar Hill, and that I will, to the best of my ability, faithfully perform the duties of the office of Mayor Pro Tem during my continuance therein. So help me God. Congratulations. Congratulations again to Mr. Hicks and Mr. Rosal. All right, next we'll move on to the public hearing for the 2024 proposed general fund and capital improvement budget. Like we did last Monday, we will start with a presentation of that budget by the city manager, Mr. Radford, and then we'll give city council members the opportunity to ask questions, and then once they're done, we will open up the public comment period. Mr. Radford, please present the budget to us.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, members of the community. It's my pleasure to present the FY 2024 budget for Mayor and Council's consideration. But before I start that, I want to extend my thanks to all of our managers and all of our staff, our budget director, finance director, Cindy Pugh, assistant city manager, Troy Basesh, but all of our directors that spend so much time working with us to put together the budget. We've been working on it for months, and it's an elaborate process, and one that we take seriously to present to you a budget that we think reflects the priorities of the community. And so with that, I will start. Now, those who have been here before for previous budget hearings are going to hear a lot of the same things, but for the chance there's somebody hearing it for the first time, this is worth going through. So state law requires cities and counties to adopt a balanced budget, a balanced operating budget, and as well as adopting a capital improvement plan budget that identifies the sources of funds that are anticipated to finance the proposed capital projects. We're required to hold 2 public hearings. We held one last Monday, and tonight is the second and final public hearing. The notice of availability of the budget, as well as announcing the dates and times for the authority for the public hearings, were in the Gwinnett Daily Post on November 19th. They've been available in the city clerk's office since November 20th, as well as being online. The general fund operating budget represents a 15.6% decrease compared to FY23, but I caution you to take a look at that. That's because of the different treatment of ARPA funds that were treated pursuant to U.S. Treasury's final rule. The capital improvement program budget sees a reduction of $3.4 million, or 26.3% from 2023, due to the same treatment of ARPA funding. Last year, we amended in ARPA funding and then transferred it out to the capital improvement budget. We've once again conservatively estimated and forecasted our revenues to enable the city to invest in enhanced services, quality of life assets, and activities while continuing to bolster and protect the reserves to handle unforeseen circumstances and emergencies in the future. As I said last week, the pandemic is still having an effect on service delivery in our community, especially in the area of public works. As a management team, we've made, with your support, we have made concerted efforts to recruit and retain valuable employees. Some of our most valuable assets are our employees, by adjusting compensation levels to provide a competitive wage. However, the rising costs of supplies, construction services, and uncertainty of supply chains still affect the service delivery of public works functions. The FY24 budget includes a 4% compensation adjustment for all full-time employees, as well as our regular full-time, part-time employees. Budget also includes an anticipated 20% increase in the cost of medical and dental insurance for our employees. Unlike private sector accounting, governmental accounting is accomplished by fund and is budgeted at the department level. In the operating budget, you'll see 16 different departments. Under the category of other funds, you will see 8 different funds, including the capital improvement budget that will be presented by Assistant City Manager Besesh in a few minutes, our 3 enterprise funds, our gas department, our golf, as well as our stormwater department, as well as our municipal court, our downtown development authority, our East Center and Solis mixed use activities, and as well as the newest one that was mentioned earlier, the Riverland Development Authority. The mayor and council budget reflects a marginal decrease of $7,000. The budget reflects normal council training, education, and travel, as well as the city's cost allocation of property and liability insurance. The election budget shows 0 for 2024 because we do not anticipate any election. It is not a municipal election year, and we don't know of any special elections that are anticipated. The administration department shows a decrease of $4.5 million from FY 2023, reflecting the previous year's, again, one-time action to transfer transfer in $3.5 million of ARPA funds that were transferred then out to the CIP. Administration, by definition in governmental accounting, is the largest department in the general fund because generally accepted accounting principles for governments require most government revenues to flow in and flow out of this department. Included in this year's budget, I think, is a much needed need, which is one new position in our finance department to work with Cindy and her staff. We have a big budget. We have almost 100 employees, and we have a relatively small finance department, and I'm pleased to recommend one additional staff person there. Information technology shows a moderate increase of 3.4%. That includes salary and benefits for our 2 IT professionals, and I say that again, our 2 IT professionals that handle all of our backbone and security of our system, as well as all of our public-facing interactions with social media and our website and the like, and the websites of many other parts of the city. I'm really pleased of how hard these two work, and so that's what this is all about in information technology. Facilities, headed up by Tim Schick in the back, reflects a 25% decrease compared to FY23, but includes compensation adjustments for our custodial and facilities maintenance staff, as well as funding for pressure washing of City Hall and maintenance and repairs of the City Hall elevator. One reason it's going, the amount of funding is less this year is that we did have programs to do some renovations at City Hall that we decided to defer to the future. This year's budget includes a new marketing and communication department. In previous budgets, marketing, communications, and downtown and economic development were housed together in one department. The department houses 3 existing professionals with a recommendation for 2 additional regular part-time employees. Public Safety Department budget reflects an increase of $132,500 to cover the cost of compensation and medical benefits for our 7 existing officers, as well as 1 new post-certified overnight marshal, plus an additional vehicle for that marshal. The city's private security contract has been terminated with the expanded marshal's office staff. Community and neighborhood patrol continues to expand, and limited hours of off-duty Gwinnett PD officers will be targeted for late-night patrol of downtown, while our marshals patrol neighborhoods and our various city parks and assets. This budget also continues our expanding reserve officer program that deploys retired post-certified officers for 10 hours of volunteer marshal service a month. And when they do that, they get to keep their post-certification. Some of these have other jobs, they're no longer in public safety, but they want to keep their post-certification. And we're really pleased that they liked the idea of community policing and want to be part of our reserve program. The street department shows a budget increase of $424,000, including compensation adjustments again, and increased cost of medical insurance for our employees in our street department. In addition, the budget includes funding for the replacement of a high-mileage flatbed dump truck, a second new flathead dump truck and chipper, and funds for a new 2-person street crew, 3 new mowers. As you go on, look on Highway 20 and PIB, our mowers are constantly in motion and in use, so we need to replace 3 of those, and $50,000 to cover the cost of market rate landfill tipping fees. The landfill we were using at a very competitive rate no longer accepts our items, so we now have to travel to Gainesville with each load. The landfill department remains level. All expenses are related to state and federal post-closure monitoring and annual reporting requirements of the city's closed landfill. The city, when it closed it, had a 30-year post-closure monitoring requirement from the state, and hopefully, if it all goes right, we should be able to be past that in the next 4 years, but once again, subject to regulatory authorization. The cemetery department budget shows an increase of $3,100 due to the opening of Phase 2 of the cemetery and our continued commitment to maintenance and operations. The city assumed ownership and operation of the historic Sugar Hill Cemetery in 2018, and it is a wonderful asset for our downtown. It is like a public park where people can walk through history and see the people that have lived, raised, or came back for their final resting place in our downtown. We don't publicize it as a perpetual care cemetery, but I can tell you our city staff, the volunteers, do a fabulous job of maintaining it to that level of care. We've also have money in the capital improvement budget this year for the redesign of the Church Street entrance and fencing to be installed in the back of the property line near the Sugar Hill Distillery and North Gwinnett Townhomes. The Recreation Department reflects a $367,000 increase attributable to compensation and health insurance adjustments. Splash pad resurfacing. Our splash pad gets a lot of work, a lot of families using it. It's time to refinish our floor in the gymnasium, blinds in the waterfall room, volleyball and pickleball netting systems, gym equipment, umbrellas for the landing, 39th Street Station furniture, downtown landscaping enhancements, and maintenance equipment such as pull-behind blower and mowers. The Cultural Resources and Community Engagement Department has increased by $38,000 for additional matching funds for the Broad Street Concert Band and jazz bands that are performing tonight. Additional one-time funds for the Players Guild for a grant writer and one-time increase for the start of a summer Shakespeare festival, as well as funding for an arts master plan. Funding is also provided for the Sugar Hill Youth Council and common area maintenance charges for the city's museum and art gallery space at the local. The $266,000 increase in the Eagle Theater is the result of our operational experience and the overwhelming popularity of this city asset. The Eagle was again busy in 2023, hosting a wide range of community organization productions, as well as in-house production groups such as the Players Guild, Up on the Stage Children's Theater, and the Broad Street Bands, as well as the Live on Stage Eagle concert series. It is busy almost every night. The Eagle also plays an integral role in other city-sponsored events such as Sugar Rush, Halloween Festival, Holiday Festival, $2 Tuesday movies, and various seasonal school vacation movie offerings. If you see in tonight's report, you can see the movies that will be playing during the Winter Bash, and bring out the families and attend. I think there's 2 showings a day on that Monday through Friday. And 2024 is going to have an exciting schedule. I'm looking forward to being able to tell the community what that's going to look like. I'm appreciative of all of our staff's hard work in securing the type of talent and the type of variety of talent that we get in the Eagle. The Bowl Plaza Events Department reflects an increase of $146,000, and we're moving 2 part-time employees to full-time status as we continue to broaden programming and year-round use of all of our downtown entertainment and community engagement assets. The Bowl, the Don P. Gilbert Plaza, the Eagle Theater, East Center, the Promenade, 39th Street Station, and the newest addition, the Landing, continue to be recognized as one of the best entertainment and community engagement campuses in the state, and continually receives accolades from residents, visitors, artists, and managers and family guests alike. More activities, again, and events are planned for 2024 and beyond. In our planning department, you'll see a $146,000 increase, once again, attributed to compensation adjustments as well as health insurance costs. But most importantly is replacement and upgrading of our 14-year-old legacy permitting and code enforcement software. Under GASB, accounting rules, licenses, and leases like this software and accounting software, copiers, et cetera, now are all categories under dues and fees, and the software vendor has discontinued support of the system going forward, necessitating the purchase of a new one. We'll continue our commitment to housing outreach, education, neighborhood improvement, code enforcement, and future planning. The one thing is consistent with what our budgets have looked like every year for the last 10 years is an investment in planning, because if you don't plan and you don't know which road will get you there, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. We like to know where we're going, so planning is a good thing to invest in. And economic development shows a significant decrease from the separation of the economic development and communication. In marketing, the budget includes funding for 1 full-time staff member and 1 new part-time employee, as well as 1 existing seasonal employee who's actually home from overseas this week. Yes. The FY24 general fund operational budget is $18,418,783, a $3.4 million reduction compared to FY23, once again because of the removal of the transfer in and out of the ARPA funds. This reflects a decrease of 15.6% overall, but the adjusted general fund budget, when you take out the ARPA transfer, is 0.6% increase. What I'd like to do next is ask for Troy Basesh, Assistant City Manager, also the person who's in charge of managing and nurturing our capital improvement budget, to go through that, as well as to go through our enterprise funds as well, and then he'll turn it back over to me to conclude. Troy?
Thank you, Mr. Radford. I want to spend a little time talking about the 2024 list of projects, but I wanted to go ahead and review the overall presentation of the 5-year capital improvement budget for your awareness and reference. So the entire 5-year plan is presented in this format, which lays out the anticipated funding sources and the amount of funding proposed for each year. As we get further out into the 25, 26, 27, and 28 years, we have compressed it for ease of readability, but we also have some very long-range budget numbers in those years. But you'll see that it's a pretty balanced approach. We do have a pretty heavy implementation schedule planned for 2025 for a few of the projects, which will go into construction in that year. While we're doing that, on the left side of the table, there is a reference to the type of project with the legend at the bottom for transportation, economic development, recreation, water resources, culturally significant projects for a category, a broad category. And then I've also identified a few new projects that we've added, and I want to talk a little bit about those as I present them in the next few slides. We are proposing a total of about a $52 million investment over a 60-month time period. That also includes investing in 24 projects, and so this will lead from everything from the design phase into construction delivery and invest in infrastructure, assets, and facilities for our community. For 2024, we do outline in the capital improvement budget the source of funds, so you'll see that on the second page of the CIP, and we list the 16 projects proposed for 2024. These will either be delivered and constructed in 2024, get started in the design phase, or they will achieve a various stage of project delivery in 2024. I think one of the questions and comments at the work session was about the source of funds being predominantly SPLOST-based, and that is true in 2024. With the completion of the 2017 SPLOST issue last year, the funds are in the bank and ready to be allocated towards most, if not all, of the work that is proposed in 2024. And so we are ready to go with many of those. One of the projects that will carry over from 23 into 24 is the Alton Tucker Boulevard Extension Project. We did identify that in previous planning documents as the Level Creek Extension. The alignment of those two roads is insufficient to allow it to be extended, so we did realign Alton Tucker to tie into Highway 20. It does include a traffic signal at Highway 20 and Stanley, and that was permitted by the state last year, or this year, earlier this year, and that's part of that contract. That one is also one of the projects that I just want to mention. We did do some research on sources of some of these projects, some of which are need-based, but many of which come from the planning documents that many of you got to participate in this year with the Envision 100 comprehensive plan document. So this one is actually one that was identified in both the 2005 Town Center Master Plan and the 2014 Downtown Master Plan. Another project I'd like to highlight proposed for 2024 is a continuation of the improvements we've proposed for Ridge Lake Park, and this was on the 22-acre Old Higgins property just west of Sugar Ridge Drive. We did complete parking improvements, a pavilion, restroom building, and dog park with walking trails around the dog park, and we are proposing to complete enhancements to the dog park and also provide a disc golf course on the property, walking trails, and within a budget of $250,000. Depending on how funding holds out, we may be able to complete some street lighting improvements along Highway 20. That one also came out of a pretty significant public involvement process, and I'll just go ahead and jump to some sidewalk projects that I want to mention. This one is on Whitehead Road. This one came out of our LCI master plan update, and you'll see some of the rendered images on the screen call for an upgraded sidewalk on the south side of Whitehead Road. And this project seeks to upgrade the sidewalk from Spring Hill to West Broad Street and eliminate ADA and substandard conditions with utility conflicts. The Highway 20 Ped Bridge project is another one that finds its source in the 2005 Town Center Master Plan. And recall that in 2005, there really wasn't much on either side of 20 at the time. Right now, I think based on one of the questions we got Monday at the work session, I just did some quick numbers on those homes that are in the Hillcrest and Sycamore area. There are some close to 1,000 residential units currently north of 20. And there is a church, 2 commercial centers on the way, and also just for reference, there are 15 acres of undeveloped land at the corner of Peachtree Industrial Boulevard and Highway 20. So there is the potential for a large amount of development on that side. So we've seen development focused on the south side of Highway 20, and we know that it's a destination. One important consideration that we did look at with this was grade separating the pedestrian access across Highway 20, the greenway users, and grade separation is the safest and best way to get across this 7-lane wide asphalt river that separates the 2 sides of the greenway. As a part of development that has taken place in the last couple of years, the greenway has been constructed to the south side of 20, and then also on the north side of 20, about a mile of greenway has been constructed. One other sidewalk project I just wanted to mention is a gap in our sidewalk inventory, and that's on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard East. There is a Park Ridge development just south of Pinecrest, and that stops just short of Pinecrest, and then we want to take that up to Spring Hill Drive. There are some additional SPLOST joint transportation funds available for that, so we do seek to complete that in early 2024. One of the regularly recurring projects on our capital improvement program are our LMIG, or as we call it, Road Repairs and Resurfacing Program. What we have been doing in the past is bundling these into 2-year contracts. We're going to see how well we do with an annual contract and propose that we complete improvements to the roads in Frontier Forest. This is some 12 streets in both Frontier Forest and Mill Creek Trace, I believe. Probably can read that on the screen easier. Mill Creek Trace, and this is budgeted at $650,000, and we are anticipating that coming in a little bit higher than normal because we're budgeting annually. Just for reference, last year's project, which was a 2-year bundle of streets of about 4.5 miles, was about $1 million. So that's about $220,000 per mile. And we do see that number decreasing as the type of roadway repair that we are using becomes less intrusive than deep patching and full depth projects. One of the other comments that have come up recently is how we develop our list of roads to propose for our LMIG program. In 2016 and in 2022, we completed a pavement condition assessment, and it was a way to assess the condition of different segments of road and bundle them together. And what you see on the image here is a graphical representation of what that would look like on the map. And so this is one of the neighborhoods to the west, but Twin Creeks if you care. And then we've also got one of the neighborhoods off of Pinecrest on the lower right image. And what you'll see is that in many cases, some of the road conditions are much different within the neighborhood than other roads in the same neighborhood just because of subgrade condition and some of the base construction that may or may not have been completed correctly initially. But we do take to account these scores as we look for our priorities in addition to anticipated future construction activity in the area. A future project that is going to be part of the Greenway system is Hillcrest north of some of the recent construction, and this will anticipate connecting the completed section of the Greenway, which is on the left side of the map image, to the north side of Primrose Estates, which is on the right side of the image. And that will take it all the way up to Richland Creek proper. And then depending on funding availability and how far the funding will take us, we do anticipate a bridge, and then a future project will be a trailhead on the other side of the river connecting to South Richland Creek Road. There are routes we're still considering as alternates, and so that's what you see represented here, is one which is a more natural pathway and then one which is more of an enhanced sidewalk. So we're looking at both of those options, some of which are dependent on easement acquisition. That would lead to the construction of about 4,000 feet of new Greenway section and may involve a significant amount of boardwalk and bridge to the north end of the Greenway. In the capital improvement document, you'll see two donut charts that represent the source of funds. This is for 2024. As was mentioned at the work session, this does also demonstrate the significance of our SPLOST program and its ability to fund a significant amount of infrastructure and construction of new facilities. So the source of funds is also in a little legend at the top there for reference. SW is our stormwater source funds, some of which came through the ARPA program. That's the American Rescue Plan Act program. So this is for the 16 projects proposed in 2024. For the total 5-year capital improvement program source of funds, again, predominance of the funding comes from the SPLOST program with a number of other sources that are identified on this page. Stormwater grants that we will be seeking. LMIG is a state grant program. And then sometimes the general fund is used to supplement our capital improvement budget. For this year, we are proposing a $600,000 transfer into the CIP for completion of a number of projects that are not specifically SPLOST identified. With that, I want to go ahead and touch on 3 of the enterprise funds that are something that make up a big part of our budget, and that is the gas fund. It's one of the services that we do provide to the city and its residents. The fund does show a 5% decrease over 2023. And while we do expect a colder than normal early winter condition, natural gas prices are a lot lower than they have been in the past, and we are anticipating that resulting in a lower overall budget. The Golf Fund is experiencing great success. We are probably going to come close to selling 40,000 rounds of golf at the golf course this year. And so that obviously pushes up revenue and gives us a chance to spend some of that funding on course improvements, clubhouse improvements, improvements to the driving range, and some long overdue maintenance on the course itself. We have also programmed a small transfer from the general fund, and that would go towards these assets that we are proposing to add to the golf fund, or golf club. We are also proposing the replacement of the golf carts at the golf course. And so we'll see those, I believe, in January, and they are 77 new golf carts. One of the things that we're trying to address is user experience at the course, and that's one way to improve that is the look and feel of the golf cart itself, providing GPS support to the golf cart. which helps speed up play, protects the investment in the golf cart, and improves the overall experience at the course. Lastly, I want to mention the Stormwater Fund. It is a user fee-based fund, dependent on the impacts that a developed property has on the environment. So that's where the funding comes from. We are proposing improvements to 3 different areas of stormwater structures, 2 of which are in Bent Creek and 1 are in Princeton Oaks. And this is proposed using a cured-in-place pipe repair method, so there is no open cut required for that. And we also, obviously, as a routine matter of course, have our regulatory compliance program, which is a big part of what we do as far as stormwater compliance is concerned. With that, I will turn the presentation back over to the city manager.
Thank you, Troy. In the craziness of governmental accounting, the last part is called other funds, and they do include the 3 enterprise funds that Troy just went over. It also includes our capital improvement program, municipal court, downtown development authority, East Center, and Solis mixed use, as well as the Riverlands Development Authority. We have seen some increases in the municipal court budget this year because of anticipated legal fees being properly assigned to the court rather than to the general fund. And then the city has also acquired strategic real estate assets over the years. And you'll see funds under DDA operations reflects $2.4 million of city-owned real estate assets to be sold over the next, in 2024. Some of those were purchased within the 12 to 18 months. And then it's operational expenses of the DDA. But once assets are sold, they do come back to the city's general fund, which they started, and get added to the fund, back to the fund balance. We budgeted $275,000 in the DDA East Center it was formerly for East Center construction. It's to complete tenant improvements of the remaining leasable space and to pay lease commissions. The East Center will be fully leased upon completion of the latest first-generation space on the second floor, and then the backfilling of 2 other spaces to second-generation tenants. And we have active lease negotiations going, and our maturing retail and restaurant market continues to attract interest in our mixed-use projects. We have budgeted revenues of $943,200 for the East Center mixed use. $500,000 of that will be used to help pay off debt service on the East Center. And we've lease revenues from commercial spaces continue to perform well above our pro forma expectations. We have budgeted $3.6 million for debt service for the East Center and the Solis Parking Deck Funds. I want to once again indicate that in 2020, the city exercised an option it insisted to be part of the 2016 Series A and B bond issuance that allowed the city to refund and refinance the Series A tax-exempt bonds for the East Center after 5 years. That's something that we insisted be in that, just anticipating what the market would look like in 5 years, and we exercised that option, which saved us about $3.8 million that we used to help bring down the outstanding debt. And then in 2021, the taxable bonds of Series B were paid off, and the Series B taxable bonds will be retired at the end of 2024. The 2018 series will be. As a point of reminder again, is that the city received its AA+ rating from S&P in 2016, 2018, 2020, and 2021, enabling the city to benefit from historic low interest rates in all of those issues. 54% of the outstanding bonds carry true interest cost of 1.61%, and 72%, inclusive of the 54%, have outstanding bonds interest rates of 2% or less. So our borrowing rates and costs and carrying costs are extremely low for this outstanding debt. We've budgeted $866,600 for Solus tenant improvements and lease income to the spaces. As you've probably seen in some of our social media posts, we've signed leases with Starbucks and Playa Bowls, and 4 other spaces are in lease negotiations. And we anticipate that by the end of quarter two 2024, all of our 12,081 square feet of space that the DDA owns in the Solus development will have active tenants and active community partners. The last new fund is the Riverlands Development Authority. The Board of Directors of the authority has been working hard this past year to review city planning work that's happened over the last several years, as well as several private sector proposals that have been made on the project, on the property that we've never accepted, just to give them an idea of what others are looking at, or looking at the availability of land. Their job is to help be the steward of that land for future generations. They're doing a fabulous job, and we have budgeted $80,000 in funding for FY24 for a Riverlands master plan and related authority expenses. So overall, the combined 2024 general fund operating budget, our capital improvement budget, and our other funds reflect a 10.9% decrease compared to 2023. The city remains in sound financial position with strong and responsible unrestricted reserves, important and extraordinarily important to a city of our size and service levels. We will likely end FY 2023 with about $10 million in unrestricted reserves. I think that's a conservative estimate. This reflects about 54% of the proposed FY 24 general fund. This rainy day fund provides an operational cushion and enables the city to weather the ebbs and flows of the revenue cycle, as well as to respond to emergencies and unique opportunities that may become before the council. The city is invested in many wonderful assets. We have one of the lowest cost gas systems in the state with 12,099 customers, and it's important to point out that 38% of those customers live outside the city. And we have a highly acclaimed public golf course that had, as Troy said, over 40,000 rounds of golf this past year. We have beautiful parks in green space, including Cornerstone Park and the Veterans Memorial Park downtown, and 3 parks that were open in 2024. Gold Mine Park, that also is a trailhead of the Greenway, the Landing, and Ridge Lake Park on Highway 20, and new and growing popular Greenway, a vibrant, growing, and sustainable downtown, and award-winning venues such as the Bowl, the Eagle Theater, and the East Center. Our gym membership has grown to 20,065 members. The Bowl and Eagle Theater are busy weekly, and the East Center tenants are prospering despite some expected turnover. We continue to invest in new green space, new parks, walkability, alternative transportation, such as the Greenway, downtown parking, and connecting residents, business, and green space and park assets north of Highway 20 to our downtown and to other parks and city and county park assets south of Highway 20 through a long-planned pedestrian bridge. Sugar Hill is strategically located with the Chattahoochee River to the west, Lake Lanier to the north, and major transportation corridors such as Georgia 400, I-985, I-85, Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, and of course, the road right out our back door, Georgia Highway 20, that now carries upwards of 40 to 50,000 commuters a day. We now have 28,000 people plus living in our city. We are changing, and the change started years ago when the city experienced its most dramatic population growth from 1990 to 2010. Going forward, the city will continue to grow because people want to live here. Our location, our downtown, green space, parks, our greenway, our civic and faith community, and the public and private schools collectively make Sugar Hill a great place to live, work, play, and raise a family. We can either let growth happen to us or recognize it and help direct the change in a positive manner. We are blessed to be at the crossroads of this commerce. The tough choices made over the years have helped create generational housing options and an attractive and exciting hometown where people can age in place. where you can be born here and live here your entire life and be buried here because we have housing options. As policymakers, making decisions for tomorrow and 10 years from now is never easy. Building a place that is generationally friendly is what we have collectively worked on for years. These decisions make a difference not just for the families of today, but for the families that will call Sugar home in the future when none of us are in these positions we're in now. I'm extremely proud of the hard work of our 98-person staff and our 12 regular part-time employees and the work that they do every day, and I mean every day, to serve our residents and visitors to our city. Our staffing level is smaller than our neighbors. Duluth has 154 total staff. Beaufort has 154. And Suwanee has 120 full-time staff. We're bigger than 2 of those 3 cities in population-wise. But we've kept our staff, I think, lean, not mean, but efficient. And I think they all love to interact with the public, and they love to be told, thank you for what you do. Each of our staff takes pride in the community they work for and work in, the assets they get to manage and nurture, and the wide variety of programs and services they get to deliver. So on behalf of our entire staff and our management team, I proudly submit the FY 2024 operating, capital improvement, and other funds and enterprise budgets for your consideration and approval. With that, I say thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Radford and Mr. Basesh, and thank you to Ms. Pugh for all your hard work in pulling together a balanced budget for 2024. Before I open up public comment, I want to give city council members the opportunity to ask questions or to make comments. Is there anybody that wishes to do so? Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I thought I'd make a point of, clarification regarding the budget. I'm just going to read a section from our charter. This is from Part 1, Charter and Related Laws, Subpart A, Charter, Section 1, Article 6, Finance and Fiscal, Section 6.25, Action Council on Budget, Item B. The council shall adopt the final operating budget for the ensuing fiscal year not later than the first day of January of each year. Such adoption shall take the form of an appropriation ordinance, setting out the estimated revenues in detail by sources and making appropriations according to fund and by organizational unit, purpose, or activity as set forth in the budget document. So I just wanted to make a clarification regarding the adoption of the budget should it happen tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any other comments or questions from city council members? Yes, Mr. Hicks.
Sure. Thanks for a bit of clarification and providing a little bit more insight into the pedestrian bridge and really who that would actually feed in regards to that those residents that are there. And you mentioned that it would connect the Greenway and all with the pedestrian bridge. Was that something that was recently discussed or added, or when was there any discussion for when the some form of getting across 20 would be?
Yeah, I think I mentioned one of the early planning documents that referenced the pedestrian bridge or tunnel, and that was the 2005 Town Center Master Plan. It was proposed somewhere in the middle of the downtown, not too far from where we ended up proposing the bridge for a solution. I guess 2005 was also prior to the highway widening. And all my notes.
Yeah, no, that helps out a lot. So thanks for that clarification, and I know that was something that was brought up in the work session as well. So thanks for that clarification.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hicks. Any other comments or questions? All right, we will now move on to public comment. And again, this is the opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed budget. And I'll just remind everybody, it is public comment. We're not able to answer questions or to debate items in the budget. But I will open it up to anybody that would like to to comment on the proposed budget. Yes, sir. And just like before, if you'll just give your name and your address for the record, and we appreciate it.
Yep, Gary Perkle, 5440 Silk Oak Way, Sugar Hill. I'll address the pedestrian bridge and the tunnel under there. That was an option that was considered because we built the amphitheater here, and we entered into an agreement with the church that we could use their parking area, and they could use the amphitheater for some of their events. We submitted that to the DOT. They did not choose to fund it. We spoke with Wayne Hill about it. He asked us not to build the tunnel there. He said that all the tunnels he was familiar with became problems with derelicts, graffiti, and those sort of things, and he asked us not to build the tunnel. We also did not choose to build it because of the expense at that time. That's one of the things in the capital budget that we'll get to. Starting with the revenue budget, and I can present the line items if you like, but the real property current year revenue from taxes is anticipated to rise $570,000. Not in favor of that tax increase. Transfer in from reserves there in another line item. These are all in the 100 admin revenue, $750,000. Transfer in from the gas department, $2,176,000. Transfer in from DDA for property sold, $2.43 million. I'm not quite sure what property they're selling. I have interest in that. It's over $5 million in transfers there that I have some concerns about. The cemetery, they propose to double the income from supposed lot sales, but I'm not sure what that's based on. The stormwater shows a transfer in from reserves for $1.14 million. Like some more information on that. Court fines and forfeitures predicted to triple. I'm not sure what that's based on. That sounds pretty punitive there. DDA transfer in from the general fund, $2.75 million. Riverland Authority, $80,000 there. All of those I have concerns about. On the expense side, there's a line there for the audit. Have heard no word on the audit yet and where that stands, what the holdup may be there. Transfer to the golf fund, $65,000, which is relatively small. There were quite a bit of expenses, though total in the golf fund, I believe added up to $315,000, which would be a loss if not for those, so I have concerns about those. Certainly some spending is due there. I'm not sure about replacing all the courts at this time. Several new positions to hire. I'd like to review those as well. One of them in public safety, there's a line item for vehicles, $60,000. I would hope that would not be another Raptor truck. I don't think that's appropriate for a suburban area. Recreation shows a 600% increase in vehicles. Eagle Theater proposed to lose $600,000. Capital, lots of spending there that I'd like to discuss. So I would request, in accordance with the charter, that the budget be tabled and then picked up in January as the charter does allow. It would be carried over on a month-to-month basis on a prorated amount consistent with this year. Had lots of discussion tonight or comments on working with the new council. I look forward to do that and cooperating with them. I'd like to see a good show of faith in that area, in this department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Anybody else? Oh, we've got a little bit of a competition going on here. Whoever wants to go first, please do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. January.
Again, James January, 12 Frontier Drive. Again, I've been opposed to the pedestrian bridge. I still don't know that I really fully accept it. I'll say my opposition may be waning a bit, and if I'm reading things correctly, it sounds like the developer's going to be putting some funds into that. And again, as I mentioned in the work session, my concern about developers doing things like this is there a quid pro quo expected? I don't think we should be giving them something. If they're willing to do this because those are their residents too, then that's great. But I don't think the citizens of Sugar Hill should be giving them something back. The other thing, though, as Mr. Perkle went through a number of concerns with some items in the budget, and for that reason, I will be an echo chamber and say I think it would be proper to go ahead and table this budget. to allow these folks to get in, to get installed, to have an opportunity to be able, at the proper level, in the proper environment, ask questions, get these questions clarified, and if that required some sort of special meeting to get them installed as soon as possible, I think that would be great.
Thank you, Mr. January. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here.
My name is Perry Galtney. I live at 5319 Bluegrass Lane. When I looked at the budget originally last week, so there's no column for 2023 what was approved originally versus what was amended. So it says approve/amend. So is that, oh, y'all can't answer questions, but budgets don't decrease. The ARPA fund, I know I'd have to do a lot of research to look into that, but the problem is it's not a transparent thing. And the nice thing about smaller cities and small government is it should be transparent. It shouldn't be something we all have to spend time digging into because we're all busy. So when it comes to that, I feel like there should have been more explanation to it, and I feel like that's one of the reasons this should be pushed off. And then the pedestrian bridge, I agree. I don't think the pedestrian bridge is needed. There's plenty of cities that have large roadways like this, Suwanee, Lawrenceville, tons of traffic, and they don't need these things. I think it's a pretty big expense to spend based on what other cities nearby have stuff that symbolizes the town center and doesn't need it.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anybody else? Yes.
Sure, Joshua Page, 1214 Hidden Circle. First and foremost, do want to thank our city staff, our city finance department for all the hard work that they put in. To the budget, I understand budget. I'm in association property management. I just got out of budget season myself. Not a fun time. I'm glad it's over with till next year. But of course, as stewards of our community, it is our responsibility to have this balanced and sustainable financial plan that of course caters to the needs of all the residents and ensure the longevity for all of our citizens and all of our assets. The proposed fiscal year 2024 budget reflects the city's, of course, commitment to maintaining essential services, fostering that growth, and enhancing the quality of life for everyone. However, in light of the current economic challenges, the inflation that we are seeing, and of course the rising prices that every single one of us sees on a day-to-day basis, I think it's kind of time to realign and look at the necessary budget cuts and kind of align our spendings with our available resources to what our citizens have. While these decisions are never easy, they are demanded and thoughtful consideration through collaboration through all levels. We have to prioritize the areas that directly impact our citizens' welfare and, of course, look at service delivery guidelines while seeking these innovative solutions and looking at efficiency standards and where we can kind of trim some fat off of every single budget line item. I know during the forum, I think it was brought up of what we would look at in kind of the budget line item, and a comment was made that there's not a single thing that could be cut from the budget line item. I do disagree with that, unfortunately. There are things that we can do and try to maximize and maintain our efficiency and effectiveness across all departments and, of course, our enterprise funds. I'm not going to go into specifics at this meeting. We're already running long. We already understand that. But we do have to work. We've got a lot of work to do ahead of us to really make sure that this budget's working for us as Sugar Hill, as all of our citizens, and try to get us in better shape and make sure that our tax dollars are going farther longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Anybody else? Yes, Ms. Sisson. Thank you for being here.
I would like to speak to the bridge. People north of 20 are citizens too. This council was elected to represent all citizens of Sugar Hill. We all worry about traffic. Every restaurant meal, every kids game in the E-Center, every shopping trip requires a car if we do not make 20 safe and easy to cross. I think that the pedestrian bridge makes a lot of sense. And we mentioned Suwanee. Suwanee does have a tunnel, and downtown Lawrenceville has redone all of the roads between it and the college in order to facilitate bike and pedestrian trips.
Thank you, Ms. Sisson. And Ms. Sisson lives off of Whitehead Road, by the way. I don't remember the street address, but She didn't say that at the beginning.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm Faye Sisson, and I'm from 5107 Sunset Drive.
Thank you, Ms. Sisson. All right, is there anybody else that'd like to make public comment? Yes, ma'am. Oh, we got a couple. Miss Avery, I think he's deferring to you.
I do have a few comments about the budget. And basically, when the budget, I know, takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and the highlights, yes, look very good. But there's always the fine print. And as with many documents, that can be very eye-opening. For example, about the bridge that we're all talking about. And that's a high-dollar item. The bridge is proposed at $6,055,000. It's a high-budget item. And although SPLOST would be covering a little over $2 million of that, city funds would be covering $1,805,000. And then the developer funds a little over $3 million. But will this bridge really benefit the majority of the Sugar Hill residents? Is it mainly benefiting the residents of Hillcrest Drive and Stanley Street and Cadence and the 3 new developments on Hillcrest? I don't see that people are going to maybe drive and park at the church so they can walk over to the bridge and come into downtown. And yes, downtown is busy when there are events and festivals and things going on. People talked about Lawrenceville, Suwanee, Duluth. Their downtown areas are not quite as crowded and focused right in the middle of downtown. So I just think that if the city's going to spend millions of dollars on a bridge, then it really needs to benefit the majority of Sugar Hill residents. Yes, even though we're spending SPLOST funds for that, we're not required to use that SPLOST funds for a bridge. It's for roads and transportation. So, we can look at other ways to spend SPLOST other than into the bridge. That just seems like a little bit of an extravaganza. Under the gas department, I'm a gas customer. I think it's great. What was not mentioned in the gas budget is $250,000 for gas appliance rebates. I think that's an awfully high number. And I know lots of other companies do offer rebates for certain things. Last year, there was not a gas appliance rebate program. And I just think that's a little bit high. I did speak with Troy last week. I talked to Cindy, I talked to Kaipo about different things in the budget. I know it's a learning curve, but I think that's a little bit high, especially this year. Also, I looked at the line items for consultants. This 24 budget, a total of $563,500 is the total for consultant fees. The highest being $70,000 for Solace Mixed Use, $75,000 for the Riverland Development Authority, $125,000 for administration, $150,000 for planning and development, and $50,000 for the E-Center Mixed Use. There are 15 departments requiring consultants, and I kind of think that's a high amount for consultants. It was mentioned that our city staff does a great job. They work hard. That just seems like high for consultant fees. And one of the other things I would like to mention is overtime. There's budgets for overtime. The proposed total for overtime is $27,300. Of that amount, $10,300 covers 11 departments, and $17,000 in overtime is proposed for one department, which is public safety. And I certainly understand public safety is a high priority. This year, $4,302 was spent in overtime for public safety. So next year's proposal of $17,000 reflects more than 3 times what has been spent this year. And I understand there's special events, there's activities, And if there are going to be those special events, those special activities that require additional hours for the Public Safety Department, they're aware of those events well in advance, and schedules can be adjusted accordingly so overtime is not necessary. I just think that's an awfully high amount for one department as opposed to 11 departments for less amount. And along with the increase in overtime for public safety, the salary allotment for these employees increases from $470,000 to $611,000. I'm not convinced that we need another marshal. I understand that that would cover the salary plus salary adjustments for the current 7 city marshals. And I think that's something to look at as well. This year, $85 was spent this year for travel in public safety. Next year, $4,000 is proposed. That's quite an increase, and I'm wondering what type of travel is required for that increase. And the same with education and training. This year, $2,775 was spent. The 24 proposal is $10,000. So for those 2 line items, we see a total of $14,000 in 2024 versus $2,860 this year. And I think that's something to look at. Also, okay, there's a lot. Like I said, it's a big learning curve. There was just one other thing that I wanted to mention about the budget, and that was for the Solace mixed use. There is an item of $750,000 allocated for tenant improvements that I talked to Troy about. I understand that this is for the commercial aspect of the Solace development, and I get that. And it's been explained to me that, you know, they have to achieve the first generation buildup. You know, the shell, the floor, the HVAC, you know, your basics to get started in business, and that basically $750,000 is an allowance to get this started, in spite of the fact that they also don't pay taxes for 15 years. So those are 2 pretty good benefits that they're getting. I've been told that this is a common practice when a business is developed, and I did talk to a realtor who deals with commercial, and he said, yes, that can be, but there's several factors that go into that amount. Now, I don't know if that $750 is the maximum amount. Maybe they'll only get $550. I'm not sure, but we'd like to know what that $750,000 is based on, or do they have to come to you and say, okay, you know, yes, we're committed to building here, and here's 3 contractors' estimates, and this is what it would cost to get the first generation build up, and at least have a comparison before we just hand out $750,000. So, I mean, hopefully the DDA is probably on top of that because they're in charge of that, but $750 is a lot, I think, for an allowance, as I said, plus getting the 15-year tax-free benefit as well. So those are the biggest things that I noticed in the budget. And as I mentioned, somebody else mentioned, it is possible to not adopt the budget tonight and table until January. That would be a first, I believe, that it would be tabled, but it's also a first to have it adopted by ordinance as well. So let's just look at some things and discuss it some more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. Is there anybody else that would like to make public comment? Yes, sir. Thank you. Please give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Cliff Dalrymple, 1552 Mariconda Trail. So 2 things real quick. I'm in agreement with most everybody else. I think that there are a lot of issues that maybe need a little bit more transparency. So I think the budget should be tabled tonight and then go to that month to month as is allowed by the city charter. And then the second thing is understand the expense on the walkway and the bridge and maybe not benefiting everybody, but I like her point as well, because there are, I think you gave some numbers like some like 1,000 single-family homes, and then you got a couple apartments and new developments back there, you do have a lot of people back there that, potentially in an influx as well with those big new communities coming up that might actually use that to cross or, instead of having more vehicles and such. And it's an issue, as we all know here in Atlanta, across the board, we've got to start looking at better options as far as public transportation and access. So we need bridges, we need other options instead of worrying about parking decks that go up in downtown. So I think there's something else, maybe a different solution and maybe a cheaper solution. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other comments?
Andrew Schultz, 5350 Windswept Trace, Sugar Hill, Georgia. Thank you, council members that are on their way out, for your service. Anytime, I enjoyed speaking with each one of you, and I thank you for that. But I respectfully ask that you guys table this for tonight. This budget does not have to be passed tonight. I had the opportunity in the past month and a half to walk around and speak to citizens at their residence about how they were feeling about the city. And there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of disgruntled people with the city of Sugar Hill. And most of it stems from the fact of their tax bill. And that's really where the rubber hits the road with most of us folks. I mean, I could go down and cry you a river. I'm driving a 2001 Chevy Silverado pickup with 300,000 miles. So when someone's telling me they need a new truck, I'm not as sympathetic. And a lot of people in Sugar Hill really aren't. So it'd be nice to see something along the lines of tabling this so we can sit down and go through the budget on a line item. You got 3 new people coming in and they would like to have their input put into it. So I respectfully ask that you would do that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? All right, we're going to close public comment. Is there any, I'm sorry, if there's someone that would like to come up and.
No, I saw it.
Good deal. We saw ahead. I'm not really sure. All right, so public comment is officially closed. Any comments from staff or questions from city council before I call for a vote? All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2024 operating and other funds and capital improvements plan budget as presented.
All right, I have a motion for adoption from Mr. Cohen. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Thatcher. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of adopting the budget, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item number 4. RZ-22-007. This is a public hearing. Mr. Awana, would you present that to us?
Jason Nam Kim has requested rezoning at 5422 Sugar Ridge Drive. It's at the intersection of Sugar Ridge Drive and Highway 20. From RS 100 to general business zoning, the site's 2.6 acres, and they intend to build a office retail facility. The site plan that they've submitted includes no reduction to the zoning buffer to the south, turn lanes from Highway 20, and additional turn lane on Sugar Ridge Drive, and is responsive to the feedback from the public through this project's life cycle. This is a rendering of the proposed building. Planning Commission recommends conditional approval. There are 9 conditions proposed. Staff recommends conditional approval as well with those same conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Awana. I know that City Council heard the same presentation last Monday night, but are there any questions before I open up public comment? All right, no questions. All right, we will begin the public hearing portion of this, and I'll explain again how we do it. The first 10 minutes are allocated to those that are applying for it or wish to speak in support of the project, and then the last 10 minutes are for those that might wish to speak in opposition to or to express concerns about the proposal. And I believe this might be the applicant. Thank you for coming forward. We will begin the first 10 minutes, and if you could give your name and address for the record, and we appreciate it.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Bryson Mercer. I am a zoning and land use attorney with Miles Hansford on behalf of the applicant, Jason Kim. And if you'll give me just 1 second, our presentation loaded. Right. All right, so most of you are probably familiar with this application as we were in front of y'all just a few months ago, and we've had a chance to amend our site plan. So just to kind of give a little background, the subject property is located off the corner of Highway 20 and Sugar Ridge Drive. It is about 2.7 acres, and we are requesting to go from medium density single-family residential, which is RS 100, to General Business District BG for the proposed use of a retail and office space. Here is the subject property, and here's an aerial depicting that. And here is a character area map showing the commercial node that it is located in. And here's our site plan. As Mr. Awana pointed out, we did go back and add a 12-foot sidewalk on the side of Highway 20, a right turn lane from Sugar Ridge Drive onto Highway 20, and we removed our variance request, so we no longer need that. We are proposing a 23,000 square foot office or retail space that consists of 2 stories. This is a rendering of what the building will hopefully look like. And if you'll notice in the proposed conditions, there are some restricted uses, and these are the conditions that were proposed by the applicant as well as the ones that were showed by Mr. Awana. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions if there are any regarding this application.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, so when we went through this originally, there was a lot of back and forth with the residents and the neighbors.
Yes, sir.
Has all that been hashed out and settled, and there's agreement between the neighbors and your project?
As far as I know, there is complete agreement on the project.
Okay. Because that was one of our issues, and the other one was we hadn't seen an actual rendering.
I believe we provided 2 in the last application.
Yeah.
So we've altered that and flipped it. We originally had the kind of glass corner not on the Sugar Ridge Drive side, so we've flipped that and modified it based off of the current site plan.
Okay, because if there's any other residential in the area around there, you don't want the light pollution, you don't want, them to be hindered in any way.
That in conditions 8 and 9 regarding the signs with light pollution, that was a concern of the residents. So I believe the sign light is restricted to no more than 0.2 foot candles above ambient light levels.
Okay, that's for the signs. I'm talking about, is this something that's going to be used in the evenings? Are those lights going to be on? The last thing you want is all that glass and having lights on shining into people's homes. So as long as you're going to address that.
So we would abide by the City of Sugar Hill ordinance requirements on what they would be measured from the property level. It is residential behind us, and then to the left, I believe we have a commercial zoning. I believe it might be a non-conforming use, one of those parcels over there.
Okay.
But it would be along Sugar Ridge Drive where the lighting would be, and I guess State Route 20 where it would be most affected, but those are public right-of-ways. Any residences around there would be screened with the buffer.
Okay.
Escaping requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's any more questions, I'm happy to elaborate. That'd be great. Okay, thank you.
I realize I did not do that with a microphone.
I hear you.
If you could give
Telepathic.
your name and address for the record, thank you.
Clifton Pruitt, 5223 Sugar Ridge Drive, just down the street. I guess I'd like to add on there, like no liquor stores. It looks like a medical professional office. It was originally kind of pitched as a strip mall. Just want to make sure it's not some all-night club. The 12-foot sign is too tall. It seems really tall. What is going to essentially be 4 offices for somebody, maybe 8 feet. And I want to make sure that's not a TV. That is just a lit sign. No TV that I'll hate. And the sidewalk, we're trying to make that a greenway. So if you're on a road bike and you're flying, the sidewalk's very abrupt turns. If that could maybe flow.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. We lost the image on our screen, but is there anybody else that would like to speak in this time section? All right, we will close this portion of the time as well, and I'll ask Mr. Mercer to come back up if he'd like to do any rebuttal or answer any questions.
The sign that was mentioned, how the neighbor would like an 8-foot sign. This is off of a state highway. We believe a 12-foot sign that would meet the city's ordinance requirements would be proper for displaying proper advertising. And the light levels would certainly comply with those, the city's requirements on that. As for the sidewalk, we are proposing a 12-foot sidewalk, but I do see the abrupt turn to match the crosswalk, but I believe there's additional landscaping being provided there as well as right-of-way. So I don't think we could move it any further closer to 20 than we already have it, especially us going from a 5-foot sidewalk to a 12-foot sidewalk to accommodate additional bike riders and additional walkability of the area. But we will certainly have our engineers look into that and see if that's a possibility. I believe it would flow better, but I don't know if engineering would allow for that, if that's right away and things like that. So those are my comments to the rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Mercer. All right, we will officially close public comment on this. Before I ask for a motion, are there any questions or comments of City Council for staff? Yes, Mr. Anderson.
Just some clarification on the 12-foot trail. That's it's actually against the law to ride your bike on the 5-foot sidewalk, and by adding that 12-foot sidewalk, we're beginning the first stages of widening the off-road options along Highway 20 to make those actually bike accessible, because a 12-foot sidewalk, it is legal to ride a bike on that. And while I'm sympathetic to the current situation of it, I think moving that 12-foot path as far away from the travel lanes of Highway 20, which are speed limit 45, but as we know that 45 is the exception and probably 65 is the rule out there. The further we can get folks away from Highway 20, the safer it is for everyone. So while I'm sympathetic to that current situation, it's more of a long-term vision for what we expect to be along Highway 20, which would be those 12-foot, 10, 12-foot sidewalks in that area that would be accommodating to our bicyclists and our pedestrians. So anyway, that was just a comment on that particular issue.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Anybody else? All right, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the rezoning RZ 22007 at 5422 Sugar Ridge Drive as presented with the conditions from staff.
Thank you. I have a motion from Ms. Thatcher. Is there a second? Second. Second from Mr. Hicks. Any further conversation before I call for the vote?
Mayor, I'm sorry. One other clarification on that was about the liquor store. Right now, there's no liquor stores allowed in the city of Sugar Hill. That would have to be a vote that would go to the people that would make that decision. So there's no planned vote, and no liquor stores would be allowed in the city. Just wanted to clarify that.
Right.
Sorry. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that comment. Any further comments? All right, I have a motion from Ms. Thatcher, a second from Mr. Hicks. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, Next, we'll move on to item number 5. That is the Envision 100 Comprehensive Plan. Mr. Awana, I'll call on you. And he did go over this last Monday night as well.
Plan development for the Envision 100 Comprehensive Plan is complete. This has been a really strong team effort. There's a lot of hard work from a lot of different places went into this process, from our public stakeholders, other city departments outside of the planning department. Our planners, Claire and Logan, did really excellent work on keeping this project that we took in-house kind of unexpectedly, and it put together a really excellent product that I'm proud to present. In terms of what we came up with, but also just for the process, we worked really hard to take the outreach kind of to another level and really kind of get out there, and we can always learn from what we do, but I think we did a really great job this time around, and looking to kind of use those relationships in that process as lessons learned, and to do it better next time, to do it even better next time. So we are presenting the plan with a summary of the revisions that we've made responsive to the feedback that we received between a public presentation of the original final draft, and we're asking for your authorization to transmit it to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs and Atlanta Regional Commission for the required regional review ahead of its adoption early next year.
Thank you, Mr. Awana. Are there any questions of Mr. Awana?
Not necessarily a question. I just want to let you know that I really enjoyed being part of the process, being on the steering committee, and the steering committee didn't offer guidance as to the end result. We were just involved in the outreach piece of it. And the fact that, when we brought up bringing the local students involved, that was embraced, and that was a lot of very interesting, a lot of fun. I had the opportunity to sit in 3 of the 4 public outreach sessions, and it wasn't super well attended, but we did have probably 10 to 15 people each time, and they offered a lot of feedback, both positive and negative. So I really do appreciate the process and the way it was rolled out to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Any other comments or questions from City Council? Mr. Hicks.
Hey, Capo, I just want to echo Mark in regards to you and your team and kind of coming up with this. One of the, if anybody knows, they know that kids are near and dear to me, anything that involving kids. And the first thing from open houses at all of our schools, you had a staff member there encompassing and really guiding that. You had it in multiple languages because, of course, that's what our community looks like. And so that was something that was important, and that stood out to me. Another thing is that, if anybody sees the Gwinnett County public school systems, they did a really big video, and it actually shared and actually voiced some of the students that was part of the program that you had, and did an amazing job of, and hearing some of the comments that came from our kids, and as the mayor always puts it, our most important resident, because again, we're driving the community that want to bring them back, and to hear some of the things that, they were just highly intelligent. So I really appreciate that part of it. But again, not just the kids, all the community as a whole, right? We just didn't look for one part, we looked for encompassing everyone. So I do appreciate that, and felt that it was really valued and a great add, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Any other comments or questions? All right, is there a motion? And I believe the motion is embedded on the agenda.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt and approve to transmit to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs and the Atlanta Regional Commission for review and compliance with state planning standards as presented.
The Envision 100.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did I miss that? The Envision 100, not something else. So the Envision 100 specifically, comprehensive plan.
It was a mighty long motion to miss that most important part there. All right, I have a motion from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Cohen. Any further comment before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, thank you. Next, we'll move along. We only have 2 items left. And just for fun, Councilmember Cohen just handed me a note that said that he was hungry. So we're gonna need a midnight snack here, I think, pretty soon. All right, number 6. Property line adjustment for the Sugar Hill Distillery Cemetery. Mr. Basesh, I believe that's you.
This is going to be incredibly quick because I think Kaipo is still connected to the system, but that's fine, please. I think we've provided an adequate description in the staff memo of this next item, which seeks to correct a boundary line issue between the cemetery and the old City of Sugar Hill Community Center that is now operated by the Sugar Hill Distillery. There was a gap in the survey, and the distillery operator has agreed to, the owner has agreed to quitclaim a small portion that is between the 2 surveys to the City of Sugar Hill by way of quitclaim, if I didn't say that. So the action item is for you to accept this .022 acres of property by quitclaim from the distillery, incorporate that into part of the cemetery.
I believe that's...
Graphic should support the action that I'm there.
Thank you, Mr. Basesh. And again, this is very easy. I see several graves there, so our eternal residents will have a little bit of extra foot room for eternity. Any questions of Mr. Basesh before I call the vote? All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve a minor property line adjustment between the Sugar Hill Historic Cemetery and the rear of the Sugar Hill Distillery, and authorize the mayor to sign the required quitclaim deeds as approved by the city attorney.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Cohen. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Thatcher. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Good thing she did it at no charge.
All right, next we'll move on to item number 7, which is right-of-way donation acceptance for the Church Street extension. That is also Mr. Basesh.
Thank you. This is a very similar item where we are accepting the donation of 2.7 some acres of property that is the right-of-way for the Church Street extension. When the development was proposed, it was identified as New Road A, and so the memo does reference both of those names in recommendation. And this will accept the right-of-way that is labeled on the plat on the screen as Tract 4, and any associated development-related responsibilities will continue as our development regulations require a maintenance period of some 30 months. So the bonds, the construction is substantially complete, but the acceptance of the right-of-way associated with it.
Thank you, Mr. Basesh, and that was very well explained during our work session. But are there any questions or comments from City Council before I ask for a vote or a motion? All right. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the right-of-way donation acceptance of New Road A, Church Street Extension.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Thatcher. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the vote, of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, we are done with new business. I do believe we have a necessity for executive session, and I would entertain a motion with the proper language from City Council if there is one.
All right. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss legal, real estate, and personnel needs.
All right, I have a motion properly made by Ms. Thatcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Cohen. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Great. All right, we're going to go to executive session, and we'll come back out when we're done. All right. Ms. Whittington has said that we're ready. We are back from executive session. We do have several items to take up, and I'm going to recognize Ms. Thatcher first for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to approve the purchase of a 1-acre portion of parcel number 7291-053 as depicted on an exhibit that we will attach to the record. In the amount of $65,000. As a condition of the purchase, the parties agree to the following. The buyer will remove the existing signage and wall on or before 12/31/25. The buyer will install a double concrete dumpster pad enclosure on or before December 31st, 25. The buyer will repair and repave Magical Way, the driveway, to the new property line on or before 12/31/25. The buyer will grant a sign easement and permit a new monument sign to be installed at the seller's expense. The seller will pay brokerage commissions. The real estate transaction will close on or before 12/31/23. I further move to approve a budget amendment to transfer $65,000 from unrestricted reserves to land acquisition for this purchase.
Thank you, Mrs. Thatcher. I have that motion from her. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of Ms. Thatcher's motion, please raise your right hand. Very good. We have a couple more items to take up. I believe I'm going to recognize Mr. Cohen for a motion first.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to discuss Ms. Whittington's outstanding efforts as city clerk, and we are so grateful to have her in that role. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to increase Ms. Whittington's salary 4% in line with the previously approved budget for the rest of our staff.
I have a motion from Mr. Cohen. Excuse me, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Thatcher. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, I believe Mr. Hicks has the last one.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is to follow Councilmember Cohen with our city clerk, Ms. Whittington, but this is for our city manager, Mr. Paul Radford, for the amazing job that we feel that he is doing for our staff and the leader of our city. And I am going to make a motion to increase Mr. Radford's salary of 4% to align with the previously approved budget of our city staff.
A motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Cohen. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Thank you. And this is what we do at the end of every year. We do an evaluation of our city manager and our city clerk, and want to thank y'all for fulfilling that obligation that we have. All right, there is no other business that I'm aware of. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Mayor, motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn from Mr. Cohen, a second from Ms. Thatcher. There would be no discussion on that, so is there, would you all raise your right hand? All right, we are adjourned.